Hi there and welcome. It's Roger at SwiftCloud. In this quick video, I just want to give you a very high-level overview of Swift CRM and SwiftCloud and what it can do for you. So, of course, step one is to get signed in. Right up here, just sign in. Once you do, you'll see a home page, and this is increasingly looking like a feed. So it's a feed of events. Our goal is to show you everything that has happened to your account. So it might be that somebody paid an invoice. It might be that somebody signed a doc. It might be that a contract was signed or an invoice was paid or who knows what. It can also be incoming emails. It can be voicemails. It can be SMSs. All of this information, our goal is to give you one dashboard increasingly on this homepage in particular. On the left side, you'll see your various navigations. And those are all the main sections of Swift CRM, which I'm going to go through right now. So we, of course, have a contact record. So one thing that's unique about SwiftCloud is it's actually a social network built from the ground up with a social function built in. So what I mean by that is if somebody pays an invoice or they sign a doc, they automatically have access to a portal. And what happens is we spin up a little workroom that's like a shared Sky-based folder or a cloud-based folder that you share with that client, and everything they do is then placed into that folder. So if one client, let's say, signs 5 docs and they upload a driver's license, it's all stored in that one folder. Now on that's the if you go to the main drive in the incoming folder, basically everybody will get to a folder. This would be an example of somebody who has some interaction with us, and this can contain all sorts of different assets. It can contain tasks, it can contain files, individual attachments, accounting records, so things like invoices and receipts. It can include calendar events, like scheduled events. We do have a scheduler built into the system that's still, it works, it's just very basic compared to some of the other systems, but if you have a lot of appointments, then I might suggest at this time, as of February 2022, I might suggest some other company if you have a lot of appointments. If you don't have that many appointments, then it's great. One of the things that we do that's different is that the scheduler you can have any number of schedulers. So if you're a dentist appointment, you have 3 dentists in your office, or if you are, let's say, in boat rentals, for example, or you have an apartment building and you have 52 units, then you could actually make each one its own scheduler if you wanted to, let's say, schedule appointments for viewings or something like that. So getting back to the main drive, so this is your main drive, and it's just a feed of items and stuff like that from there. On the left side, you also have something that's really powerful called filter views. Filter views allow you to set a criteria and then sort of stick a pin in it and say, this view is important to me. So let's say that you created a filter view of show me all of the contacts that are tagged as active clients, but not vendors. You could create that as a view, and then people can come into that group and they can leave that group. It's incredibly powerful, and you can create filter views for different things. You can create them for assets, for agreements. Agreements could be things like subscriptions. So let's say that you're running a yoga studio and people subscribe to a monthly service. It could be that you are a landlord and you have people that sign leases, which is another form of an agreement. And so you could create a filter view called show me all the active agreements, or show me all even just the late payments, right? And you can create and save that as a criteria and then save that into your filter view system. We also have pipelines that's built into the tasks system. So you can create custom types of pipelines. We'll get into that in a second. So here we have the contact record. Now basically anytime, unlike some of the other legacy 1.0 e-sign systems that are out there, our system is smart in that we recognize participants as people and or companies, right? And so some of these other systems that are out there, they don't know anything about the data that's happening in the doc. They're very good at, let's say, handling the doc, or they're just trying to replicate paper. One thing that's different about our eDoc system is it can do things that paper never could do. So things like conditional if-then logic, where, do you have any allergies? If yes, then a whole section expands, tell us about this, and do you have an EpiPen, and do we need to take action, and what's your doctor, and that kind of thing. And if they click no, then they don't even see that section. So that's just one tiny example, but we came from a digital-first environment. Anyway, the contacts, as you can see on the screen, of course, open up to an individual page, right? And so from here, you can actually message your clients. So our view is that a CRM, the very best CRM, is the CRM you don't have to use. And what I mean by that is you don't have to go back and update the records. It's because it happens automatically. So if I SMS this client, I just go here to SMS, I send it from here. I'm not going to do it because it's a real client, but it will save, and everything is, of course, time date stamped. And that way you have one view with all of your history with that client individually. You can also add different criteria, right? You can link contacts to each other, let's say for business partners, husband to wife, employee to company, that kind of thing. You can add different types of things. You can also add custom fields. So you can create in the settings page custom criteria that's important to you, and that can be custom deal types. It also can be custom fields that go into your contacts. Contacts can also have different assets stored in them. So in this case, we have files enabled, and this is a workroom that I share with this client, Stillwater Diversified in this case. So here it shows me the little one. I could have the accounting section, I could have calendar, I could have time clock records, I could have tasks, and then tasks and projects could also be sales opportunities, that kind of thing. So here we have another, just an example. Up here you have different methods of contacting that client. So I could even do video chat with them. I'm not going to do it because, again, this is real data. So you have, you can view just the history if you choose. You can also look at things like just private notes. You can add sequences. Sequences are pre-programmed events of sequences, and that can be after only mode, so like an autoresponder, or it can be after and before mode. What I mean by that is things like appointment reminders. So let's say you have a dentist appointment or somebody's got a sales appointment. This can reduce you chasing people to get them on calendar and thus ensure that they show up for a sales appointment, something like that, because what you can do is you can set up automation so that it's appointment time minus 1 day or minus 1 week or minus 1 hour. So right before, let's say 1 hour before their scheduled appointment, you could send them an SMS, says here's where you park, here's, bring in your tag for validation, that kind of thing. So that's and all you have to do is click sequence. Basically, you need to actually have some sequences. You can SMS, you can actually call. I'm not going to do it here, but I want to actually do that because this is a real client. You can chat message, which is basically just a shared note. That's generally for slow speed. We are later going to add escalation to that so that if you don't have a response, then you can choose to basically escalate it and get that message to them. It depends, basically it's going to depend on what that client's preferred method is, and then do you need it, it'll auto escalate it depending on the response method. We do have, by the way, in here groups, so you can do bulk email, bulk SMS, bulk campaigns, even bulk phone calls, where what you're doing is not yet like a ringless phone drop, but you can run a phone campaign, and you can even tie sequences to groups. So our group system allows for you to chain a sequence, and you can think of like a sequence like a playbook and say, okay, we're going to send out these 3 emails, then we're going to SMS these 3 SMSs, then we're going to phone call, right? And you run that playbook on your entire batch of clients. So this is my help account. I don't have too many groups. This is really just testing data and that kind of thing. But what you can do is you can use this filter view system, and you can create different groups. That way you can also import a list of people. So if you wanted to import 1,000 people and say, let's say you're in real estate, you wanted to import 1,000 people and find out who rents and who owns. Well, what you do is you run a playbook and you create a sequence called that, and then it'll show you who has updated their record and who hasn't, and thus you could find out a whole list of people. That's also used for bulk e-sign. So if you needed, let's say, a classroom of people to sign, let's say you needed 1,000, let's say kids soccer camp participants to sign a waiver, then what you could do is if you request 1,000 people do it, well, 500 are going to do it and 500 are not, right? They're just because they didn't get the email, they didn't get around to it, they were traveling, who knows what. So then what you do is you split out all the people who did and you stop bothering them, and the people that didn't, then you send a reminder, right? You can do all of that by chaining sequences to groups. So nonetheless, anyway, that's the groups tools allows you to do that kind of thing. Here we have the main drive. It's a little bit wonky looking just because I'm kind of on a small screen recording this, but you do have the ability to just search for things, right? So if I want to search for H43, I just go up here and search for whatever, anything. And then of course you can have subfolders. Here you have tons of different options. So our invoice tool is incredibly powerful. It's really advanced. It's been very well refined. You can do things like milestone payments and chain multiple invoices together. It's good for sales proposals. What you do is just pick it, like, okay, you've got different, let's say you can use it to create a receipt, right? Well, now you've got different, like, let's say somebody sent you a check, or let's say they've sent you an ACH e-check. Well, technically that's payment pending, for just an example. So I'm just showing you the maturity of this whole system. We do have online payment with credit cards. We also also have a whole SKU system. So what you can do is create a SKU, which is an item you sell. So if you have a retail store, and let's say you have 3,000 units that you sell in your store, SwiftCloud is not the best tool for you. However, if you were something like, let's say, a plumber, and you have, let's say, maybe 50 or 10 or 100 different items that you sell, it could be things like garbage disposals or certain pipes or something like that. You can also do that with your own services. So let's say that you have your own, let's say you have hourly services. You can just put that in there as an item you sell, and what it'll do is it'll ask you, what do you want to sell, and then you can put in different criteria for that, and then you can even tie automation so that when people buy that, you start to see so that when people make a purchase, it triggers a task automatically. So as I show you more of these things, you can start to get a sense for SwiftCloud. Having an all-in-one platform can let you not only save a lot of money by canceling the 6 different plans, like a lot of our clients are using, let's say, 6 different systems, and they have to kind of glue that stuff together, and maybe it works or maybe it doesn't, or they're doing a lot of copying and pasting. Our goal is, if you're in the service industry, specifically just selling services, then we want to be your technology partner and give you basically everything you need all in one platform and make it work perfectly for you, so that everything is automated, so that the data flows automatically and all the automation is triggered and that kind of thing. And so that's only possible when you have everything perfectly integrated. Otherwise, you're using these other external API systems that maybe work, maybe they don't. Sometimes even the systems that profess to work, I won't name any names here, but some of the very large companies that are basically API bridge systems, they will drop automations and not tell you because they don't have it. So in SwiftCloud's case, we want to make sure that all that stuff works together. So this is the main drive. From here, you can create docs. So I'll just go through this really quickly, but our eDoc system is incredibly powerful. You have many different types, including even things like web pages. So you could do a really basic website. If you need an advanced website, I'd recommend something like WordPress. If you just need a really basic site, so things like microsites or a really basic website, for, let's say, a plumber or an auto mechanic or something, you can do it through here. We've got video on demand. Increasingly, we have a whole reviews system that's part of the Rave suite. We have landing pages that's used for a really great way to spin up offers really quickly and just test market an idea or come up with a sales campaign or something like that. You can even do things like polls and elections. You can do quizzes. You can do RFPs, which are requests for proposals. Reviews. We've got frequently asked questions and snippets that feeds into the whole marketing thing, so you can quickly grab an answer. So we do have a help desk system built into SwiftCloud. And we find that most of our clients are small businesses. And what happens with small businesses is you have to wear a lot of hats, right? So you have maybe, let's say, one person who's sort of running the front desk, and some of their time is setting appointments. Sometimes it's answering basic questions. Sometimes it's acting as help desk. Sometimes it's dealing with billing issues, that kind of thing. And with SwiftCloud, you can do all of those things. So we do have all that sort of built in. So this is that's everything you see here is just the doc system. So we do have spreadsheets. That's like a really super basic version of Excel or something like that. We have estimates. That's a very well-refined system. Web forms, that's used for off-site. Let's say if you have a WordPress website and you wanted to chain it so that when you capture a lead, it goes into SwiftCloud and thus automates the follow-up. That kind of thing, of course, can happen. You can do lead distribution. Folders, workrooms, that's, as you can see on the screen, it's really just to keep things organized, but Workrooms allows you to share that socially, so you can give somebody permission to it, that kind of thing. Envelopes is used for docs. If you wanted to bundle together, let's say, a video plus a few docs plus an invoice to create a sales proposal, then you would do that with an envelope. SKU is an item that you sell. Stock keeping unit is what that means. Sequence of events, that can be used for autoresponder. Schedulers, that can be used for just you to get on your calendar. It could also be for assets, things like, let's say, a boat rental or a boardroom or something like that for somebody to reserve. Templates can be used for docs, so if you're doing things like sales proposals or, let's say, staffing agreements, but you need to create them and then you want to modify them, so the templates is one way to do that. One-click sales funnels, that's for really basic sales funnels. If you wanted to create, let's say, a free bait, you've got different types here. Phone number, we do have phone calling built in. That's pretty new. So we're still refining that system, but we do have phone calling right within the system. And the upside to doing so is then right when you do a phone call from here, it'll be time, date stamped and logged and all of that kind of thing. Coming up with related to that, we have an IVR system. If you need this, reach out to us. It's already in beta. And so IVR is interactive voice response. So press 1 for sales, press 2 for support, that kind of thing. If you need that, then reach out to us because we're building that. It's integrated with the whole chatbot tool. So the chatbot, if you think of it like press 1 for sales, is the same as basically a chatbot response. We're building a multi-channel chatbot system, in which case somebody could chat to you and a message could come in via email or via phone or via Facebook Messenger or something like that. And depending on if we can recognize what's going on there, then we want to guide somebody through a conversation. Well, at the end of the day, somebody calling into your business, that's just another conversation to us. So the phone system is part of the whole chatbot system, but we have the basics now. So if you need that, just reach out to us. So again, here's the main drive. We have all these different types of assets. You can, of course, create a folder and then upload assets. You can upload PDFs and images and stuff like that. You can also look through and you get the idea. So here we have an example of a workroom that was shared to a client, and notice that we have basically like a spreadsheet and then the actual PDF. So here's an actual signed PDF. This is just us testing. It's just junk, right? So there's nothing personal on this document. Here's the actual underlying source data. This can be really useful if you're doing things like, let's say, a mortgage application where you have a lot of complex data, or an MCA, merchant cash advance application, where you have a lot of data and maybe you need to pipe that into some other software. Then what you could do is export this system, basically like download it and then import it into some other system if you needed to. You can also push this data into a different doc. That's typically used for, let's say, somebody to do a quick application online and then you need to generate the formal application. So let's say you were doing business financing, somebody applied and they did a quick application and then you wanted to pipe that data into an SBA loan, right? Well, maybe there's a very specific form that data has to get piped into, so we can do effectively mail merge. We do have a very basic accounting system. This is still sort of in beta. It's a little wonky because my screen is small, but you can create records, right? So you just create a record and decide how somebody paid, and we do have payments within SwiftCloud, so you can charge your clients. So you can either charge them a set amount one time, you can set up recurring payments, all of that through the SKU system and through the agreements. So here we have basically like different, and we do support multiple currencies, by the way, but basically under accounting, then you can create a billing agreement, right? And so what you can do is create different types. So you could create a lease, you could create a subscription, you could create just get a payment method on file, you can create an employment agreement, and that can even be in multi-currency. So if you're working with outsourced or overseas talent, for example, then you could create them and you could pay them in rupees or Philippine pesos or whatever it is that is important to you, and then thus tie that even to the time clock system. So the time clock, of course, talks to the basically to the agreement system, and thus you can create that and then pipe that into an invoice. So you can also use that with, of course, client billing if you're in staffing, stuff like that. So there is a whole set of HR suite. Legal staffing was one of the first clients that we worked with this whole system, and so it's in there, and we take compliance very seriously. Our calendar is still it's just a little basic. It works, and it can be synchronized to Google Calendar or to iPhone, right? And so either of those, you can synchronize it to your phone. This is my help account, so I haven't been using it for this. We're just now migrating over, but basically it does work, and you can synchronize it to the scheduler. So we've been using it just with a different account. So up here with these tabs, you can kind of jump around the application. That'll bring you to the main drive, the contacts. Up here we have the tasks view, and the tasks view allows for hierarchical, right? So again, this is help account, so I've been kind of using it for test data and stuff like that, but this is a hierarchical view, and so you can kind of collapse things down. We also have a Kanban view, and the Kanban view right now, there's nothing in this basically like this system, because I keep flushing it out and then testing and then using it again. But basically what you do is you choose like what pipeline you want to view, and then if I drag something from here to here, it automatically just updates the status. So at the end of the day, a Kanban view, as you've seen with some of these other applications, is just a way of sorting by status. But at the end of the day, it's just multiple different views. The entire task system, I should call it tasks/projects/sales opportunities, is also hierarchical. So what happens is basically any task can automatically include subtasks if you want to. So in this case, this is let's say it's a general support request. I can make quick notes. I have different views. So if I wanted to create subtasks, then I would just change it to a project. and I can just add new subtasks, and then I've got custom statuses. This is all customizable, and of course the different types are customizable. And then of course I can go here and I can create a new contact, right? So if I want to, I could create a new contact and then add a new task all from that. So in the real world, if you're, let's say, a veterinarian, a landlord, something like that, you go here and then you'd probably want to add a task, and it's like, okay, decide that. And what I'll do is I'll create the contact and create the task all at once. So hopefully this has helped you. My goal is to give you this whirlwind tour. I didn't even touch on really this is the marketing campaigns experiments. So if we wanted to, we could create, that's a new system that we're continuing to refine. But at the end of the day, marketing is just compelling, irresistible message delivered to the right eyeballs, multiplied by your brand gravity. Your brand gravity is like trust, and how many times have they seen your brand, that kind of thing. And so increasingly we want to tie this to basically our bulk email tools and stuff like that, and help you track it, and then also help you track the ROI on something like that. So here we can go in here and we can, let's say, create a bulk email message and decide where it's going to, tie it to a campaign. We can schedule it out, we can send it now, or we can schedule it and basically, you know, save and send, and then that'll queue it out. We have to decide what group that's going to. So there is a basic marketing suite in there that continues to get more and more refined, but that is our goal for that, is to help you get the word out. So hopefully this has helped you. It's been, I know, kind of a whirlwind tour, but my goal is to just give you an overview. So if there's something that piques your interest and you think that it would be of help to you, then by all means reach out to us. We're in an exciting space right now where we're big enough to be sort of unkillable. We're also in a wonderful space that we're not funded by venture capital, so we don't have some growth target that we have to hit. There's no risk of us being shut down or bought out by some company that you hate or something like that. We're in good shape right now. And we're small enough that you'll actually get a human on the phone, usually me, at this time. So for 2022, we'd rather take tapered, measured growth and deliver a great experience. Our goal isn't necessarily to be the biggest, it's to be the best for the clients that we work with. And we're just focused on service-based and really real estate and finance, and then services, personal services, so things like auto mechanics and plumbers and stuff like that. Those kind of areas, that's really where we are very strong, and you'll get a high degree of personal service. And so if you want a company that's basically like a technology partner for you, and we can help you automate a lot, big chunks of it, and you can save a lot of money by canceling those six different software platforms or monthly services that you're using, and switch all of that into SwiftCloud. And what we do is we typically roll that out one at a time. So first we would get, let's say, all of your contacts in, then we'd get all your pipelines in, then we'd replace your phone system, and then we replace your marketing system, and do that kind of roll it out in stages. And by doing so, you'll end up saving a lot of money, and you'll get a better experience. You won't just save some money, you'll actually make more money and have fewer hassles by having all of your stuff under one roof, and you have one system of truth. So hopefully this helps you. I am excited to work with you. Thank you. Welcome.